We have a GoFundMe page to raise funds to help British Muslims find a spouse. And our platform consists of two main projects. Number one, marriage events. These are events designed and structured to assist Muslims find a spouse. And number two, our podcast, which you're listening to right now. As you know, it's called Divorced Muslims, A Second Chance. If you want to donate, please find the link to the GoFundMe page below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to Divorced Muslims, A Second Chance podcast. My name is Mohammad and I am your host. In this episode, we are joined by my mother. My mother will give her views about marriage and the marriage search based on her experiences. Just a warning for everyone, this episode contains sensitive subjects. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. In today's episode, brothers and sisters, we will be joined by who I would say is the best guest ever in the history of our podcast. Everybody knows that I say I'm a mummy's boy, and alhamdulillah, my mum means the world to me. So yes, today's guest is none other than my mother herself. In fact, I will introduce her. Mum has been married to my father for over 20 years. She's the mother of two boys, one of them, of course, being myself. In terms of work, Mum works in the public sector. Mum, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thanks for joining the podcast, Mum. Welcome. All right, Mum, I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to go straight into a deep question. What was your marriage search like, Mum?
Okay. In my days, we had no marriage search or searches. We had family and parents to do all that. We had arranged marriages. Nowadays, you call it arranged marriages. You probably make fun of the arranged marriages, but that's what we had. Our elders fixed our marriages. It was all arranged marriages, no searches. They had searches. Whatever the searches they done, I have no idea.
As in mum and dad?
My mum and dad, my family. But, not necessarily when I say my mum and dad, my parents, that wasn't the case. It was the whole family. It can be uncles, aunties, grandparents. The whole family participated in finding a partner for the children when they were actually coming to the marriage age. For my marriage, my brothers played the role, my parents played the role, my grandparents, my uncle and auntie, everybody played the role in finding the best potential for myself.
Okay, I don't know if this question is relevant, but based on what you said, but I'm still going to ask it. Did you face any challenges in your marriage search?
Like I said, I personally had no searches. I didn't have any search. Then I wouldn't have any challenges. I had no challenges, to be honest. My family may have come across challenges in finding the right potential, but I certainly never, I would turn around and say, I didn't know anything about challenges. I didn't know anything about marriages. I didn't even know how they were being arranged. Everything was happening behind the scenes. It was completely different. No challenges from my side, from my family side. God knows what challenges they faced.
Okay. Again, it might not be relevant, but I'm still going to ask it. Did you have a criteria? I know you weren't searching, but criteria from your side, like you wanted this kind of guy or somebody that looked like X and Y and Z. I mean, any criteria from your side, Mum?
No criteria from myself or, yes, the parents, the family would have some sort of criteria, what they would be looking for. But I certainly wouldn't have any criteria. I wouldn't know what criteria meant. So whatever the parents would put across, say, this is a person you're going to get married, I fully trust them. We had that trust, we had that respect, and that, the family wants the best for you. No criteria at all from our side.
Okay, and Mum, did you have a choice when it came to you getting married? Like in those days, we hear all the time that, like you mentioned, it was arranged marriages that were the way forward, and parents made the decisions and the choices for the children. The actual choice for the child was non-existent. It was a choice of the parents. I mean, did you have a choice, Mum?
I will answer that question directly in a minute. But, when we say arranged marriages, when we say families involved, they were looking for the best potential for their daughter. They wanted the best person. who would keep me happy. They were making all the choices. No, certainly I didn't have any choice. I was not given any choice. And you know what? I'm so happy. I'm so glad. At that age, you're talking about 18, 19. You don't know what you're choosing. You think everything what looks good is good. We don't know at that age what is good for us. And no, I didn't have any choice.
And what were you like as a person before you got married compared to after you got married? Like, how has marriage changed you, if at all?
Spoiled. We had no responsibilities. At that age, I'm 17, 18-year-old. I don't think so. My parents given me any responsibilities. So, getting married, it does change your life. All of a sudden, overnight, you're handed so many responsibilities. I've never cooked a full meal for a family. And when I get married, I have to cook for my husband. There was nothing that we would be bringing food. Like nowadays, you have fast food. We didn't have such things. So a lot of things, yes, changes were made, because everything changes before marriage and after marriage. Before marriage, the main thing is you're not responsible. You don't have any responsibilities. And all of a sudden, when you get married, you're bombarded with responsibilities and you have to fulfill those responsibilities. Your parents expect it. They have that criteria. They want their daughter to fulfill that criteria. She has to be responsible. She has to be a loving wife. She has to be caring wife. She has to be caring. We live in a family. It's not just I will be living with my husband. So there's two families involved, my family and his families. So we have to have that respect. So yes, of course, you change overnight, responsible. You become responsible. You have to grow. You become mature.
Mom, is it true that the best thing that happened to you was that I was born?
The best, when a girl gets married, I think probably same for the boy, but I'm not a boy. I can't say that. When a girl gets married, the first thing she has in mind to have a family, have her own children. Nowadays, the girls have in mind, they have a career. We have, in my days, we had...
That's not answering my question, Mom.
When you have a child, you have a baby, it's the best thing.
The answer is yes.
No, answer is not yes. My first son was the first child I had. And having a first child, it's a completely new experience. It's a new life in front of you. You don't know what to do. You're inexperienced. You need family to guide you. Something wonderful. It's like completely out of this world. You got that baby in front of you. You've forgotten everything. You might come tired from somewhere. You see that child. You've forgotten everything. Same, I probably would say when I had second child as yourself, I probably was feeling the same.
Fair enough. We know the real answer, but fair enough. But let's leave it at that, Mum. Okay, let's talk about, more recently in terms of my marriage search. So there's certain examples that I can think of, and I thought it would be good to share some of the experiences that, me and you have faced. But let's talk about, do you remember when we went to see a rishta where the mother of the girl of the potential was smoking? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that, because that's something you won't forget. It's a hookah or shisha, whatever you call it, and it's tobacco. My husband used to smoke cigarettes when we got married, and I couldn't stand the smell of it. Thank God he gave up. And when you go to somebody's house to see a girl or boy, and all of a sudden the mother would pull up this thing, which I've never seen in my life. I've seen it in dramas, and then she starts smoking and there's water in there and it's bubbling and the smell. It was a horrible experience for myself. I was feeling suffocated. I couldn't breathe. And I was like thinking, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? Am I dreaming or am I seeing this for real? It wasn't. It was complete. Instead of we're a guest, when you have a guest in your family, you entertain them. You serve them tea, coffee. She might be addicted. I felt she was addicted. She needed to have that smoke, and she did that. Yes, it was a complete different experience. And I guess it's not something people would like to see.
I remember when we got out the house and we were going home, and I remember you and Dad telling me, no way, absolutely no way. Obviously there was a culture clash. What about another experience, Mum? Remember you have this rule, don't you, that we go to see the girl, and then the girl, no matter what Mohammad says, it doesn't matter, you're still going to call the family back home, right? That's been your rule. Remember, again, a recent experience when one of the potentials came to our house And she had an argument, nothing to do with us, but she had an argument with her mum. Do you remember that, mum?
Okay, first part, whether I agree with you or not, let me tell you, when children say to the parents, I mean, my days were different. When the children say, okay, we want you to find a potential, or we want you to look for a girl or boy for ourselves, which you said you gave the full authority for us to find a girl. And, whether I forced it up on you or whether I didn't, when you look for someone, it doesn't happen overnight. Your first visit will tell us that this is the right girl. You have to visit, see each other, see the families for a few times before you could actually come to that decision. And marriage is not between a girl and a boy. It's between two families. So you have to get to know that the girl's family and the girl's family needs to get to know our family. So back to your question.
Remember when the girl came to our house and she had an argument with the mother, nothing to do with anything to do with us. It's just, She just randomly had an argument and it was just a bit awkward.
It's sad because I felt, because her mother was working, I think she was a civil servant, and the girl had an interview for similar job in that sector. And I think it was coming in the next day or the few days. And I think the mother was focusing on her interview, telling her what she should be saying at the interview rather than focusing on the potential she's come to see. And that led them, there was a disagreement between themselves. The daughter ended up shouting at mother, which that was a respect. I wouldn't like someone showing that sort of attitude to the parents, regardless whatever happens. And the mother's problem was they could have talked about this interview after leaving our house or before. They had plenty of time to prepare her for the interview. I think that was taking priority, which the girl showed attitude to the mother, showed, she didn't respect the mother.
I remember you saying to me in the kitchen, there's no way you're going to marry her, because if that's the way she treats her mother, how is she going to treat other family members? Okay, Mum, what about another experience where, this was a rishta done by one of, my cousins, really, really older cousins. And I tried to tell you that I don't see her in that light. I don't think she's good for me, etc. And in the end, I had no choice. I shouldn't have done this, but, I've already spoken about this publicly, where I had to, unfortunately, wrongly lie and say to the girl when she was at our house that, I did an istikhara and I saw my house on fire, which wasn't actually true, but I was trying to basically say to her, I'm not interested. You remember that, Mum?
Yeah, first of all, my dear son, I wasn't born yesterday. I knew you were not telling the truth, but I played along as much as you played along. But again, yes, what I was trying to say to you is one visit doesn't reveal anything. You don't get to know anyone from your first visit. You have to have few visits or get to know the family. From my era, we've been told, you look at the girl's mother. 80% you will know what the girl is like. I don't know about the boys' criteria, but this is what we were taught. If you're looking for a girl for your son or brother or cousin or anybody, look at the girl's mother. Look at her behavior. 80% the girl will be following the mother's footsteps. Yeah, I do remember, and I knew you were not interested. I wasn't going to force you to get married to her. And then, like I said, 2-3 visits were required to get to know each other. And it wasn't meant to happen. And we believe in marriages.
But remember, sorry to interject, but remember then afterwards, just like months down the line, unfortunately, this particular girl on Snapchat, was it, that was seen doing some inappropriate things by my sister-in-law, your daughter-in-law. So it was definitely the right decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in God, if you believe in Allah, everything is done, whatever is meant for. If you were meant to marry that girl, it would have happened. If she was the right person, I think it would have meant for you to marry. She wasn't the right person for you, and you were not the right person for her. And yes, I don't have any regrets that she wasn't the right person for you. Now, no one was going to force you to marry or force her to marry you.
True. Mum, one of the funniest experiences that we had, in my opinion anyway, we went to see a rishta and then Dad went to use the toilet. And when he did go to use the toilet, I remember him trying to explain this to me afterwards, that he said, look, there was no washing facility. I was like, what? There was no sink, Dad? He's like, no. He goes, there was a sink, but there was nothing to wash your, let's just put it this way, your private parts like we would in the Muslim community. And then, that in itself, I don't know, I just couldn't stop laughing. I don't know if you remember that, Mum.
Yes, your dad did bring it up, and I wouldn't hold that.
Oh, come on, Mum. That's
I
unhygienic.
wouldn't hold that against them because that might have been for the visitors, that toilet downstairs.
Oh, Mum, you should give your visitors something to, wash with.
You got the toilet roll there.
No, Mum.
And,
Oh, Mum. No, Mum.
I'm not going to give that for family. I'm not going to hold that against them.
No, but obviously there were other reasons. But I'm just saying that was a funny experience.
Yeah, that was funny. I know, because we, as a Muslim, we should be in wuzu all the time. And for that, you have to wash your private parts. That's the first thing. And then you do the rest of the wudu. Yes, I do say that. But then again, we don't know what was the shortfall there.
And finally, Mum, the experience I do want to speak to you about was the first ever rishta you bought. It wasn't the greatest experience, probably the worst experience for me. And I wanted to discuss that with you because I know that this girl was, a distant family. And I tried to tell you from the outset that I wasn't interested. And, you were adamant that I still proceed. And we did. And then, unfortunately, we were victims of, something that I don't really want to. Well, we can say that the girl already had someone in the first place and unfortunately involved me for no reasons, shouldn't have involved me. But we want to know that. But I did say from the beginning, Mum, this doesn't sound right. But you were like, no, Mohammed, we're doing this. Remember?
Okay. You make it sound on this podcast of yours that as if your mum or your parents were monsters. They were forcing you to do things which you were not happy. That's not the case. Yes, that potential came. We never went to their family. They came to our house because they knew, I've got a son, I'm looking for marriage. And the fact is, they were not truthful. They didn't tell us the girl had someone in her life and the father didn't want her to marry this person, to break her from that friend of ours and bring her to us. Maybe, all parents would do. I probably would do the same. I don't know. And unfortunately, the girl still had her heart or whatever mind in that boy, whoever she had, and the father was trying to dump her on us. I wasn't saying to you that, or your dad or your auntie, that, you are going to, get married. We're not putting a gunpoint on your head, saying that you have to marry her. Again, saying, see her. You see her, she sees you. You never know. There might be some liking, and it might happen because it's a distant family. And then, there had been some gap for 10 years. We hadn't met the family, and there were certain reasons. And we were looking at that way, that if this rishta does take place and you do get married in the family, that we will reunite again. But in honesty, they were not transparent. They were hiding stuff, and it didn't work out.
Fair enough. Alhamdulillah. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, Mum, let's move on to the opinions segment. So no right or wrong answer. This podcast is called Divorced Muslims, A Second Chance. I want to ask you, how was divorce seen in your day?
Again, in my family, we're looking, as far I could see, there was no one divorced because we all had arranged marriages. Any problems, you go to the family, they will try to sort it out. They will do counseling. They will console you. They will try to fix the problem. There were no divorces. Now married 20 years plus, there are 2 members of our family distance. There's 2 divorces in this, our whole khandan. In those days, no, there were no divorces.
What do you think about divorce today?
I wouldn't say what my parents are saying, what my mum used to say. In her opinion, she used to say, I'll change a little bit of wording. I'll say, in my opinion, in my opinion, APS is a key to successful marriage. Now, you will say, what's an APS? A stands for appreciation or appreciate. P stands for patience. And S stands for support. If you appreciate what you have, whether it's less or more, and don't compete yourself with others, that's a key to successful marriage. Patience or patient. Show your patience during difficult times, no matter what calamities or hurdles you may come across. Walk away from any sort of arguments you think it's going to lead to any serious arguments. That's success to marriage. Support your partner through thick and thin. Listen to them and believe them and trust them. That's a key to success. That's my parents way of saying, but this is the opinion I have formed. And this is the opinion I'm going to say to all your listeners. Please, marriage, think about these things. If you have this APS in your mind, this is a successful marriage, a happy marriage you're looking for. You follow these steps, trust me, you won't go wrong.
That's some good words of wisdom there. But the question still remains, and I'll put it to you straight. Why do you think in your day, you said there was nobody divorced to be seen, right? But in this day and age, 2024, we're talking divorce rates rocketing to the sky. Why? Why do you think that is?
When these youngsters get married, if they involve the family, at least that family will help you or support you or console you when there is problems. Counseling plays a big role. And the family is there, they can talk about it. They try to do whatever they can do to save the marriage. You have to trust your families, what they're doing is right. And today's age, if you go and have love marriage or go and marry someone on some friend has introduced you, no families are involved, and you don't know the background, you don't know the families, and then there is no patience in yourselves nowadays. There is no appreciation. You don't support each other. Small argument you might have over one coming late or not taking you out, end up arguing, and that argument leads into really serious argument. You end up saying, you know what, I'm going to divorce you. मैं तलाक दे दूंगा. मुझे तलाक चाहिए. The girl will say, I want a talaq. And nowadays, talaq was the last thing in our mind because that's what we've been taught, that divorce is the last thing. Don't talk about divorce. Marriages are forever. That might be the reason, one of the reasons, I don't know. People have different opinions. This is my opinion. Maybe the divorce rate is higher because of this. You're not tolerating each other.
So, Mom, I want to ask you a bit of a difficult question, right? So many people would say one of the biggest problems in your generation was that women would suffer from abuse from their husbands. This could be mental, this could be physical, and that they couldn't get out of a abusive marriage because in those days, divorce wasn't really something that was prevalent. So they would stick in the marriage. Rightly or wrongly, let's put that aside. But the generation problem in this era is that divorce rates are high and people are finding it difficult to get married. But if you compare the abuse situation, when women are being abused in this era, they have the power to move away from the marriage, terminate the marriage, walk away from the marriage. I just want to know your viewpoint on that.
There's two things you have to, let me clarify. We always bring up that the man has tortured the woman, man has been physically violent. Trust me, there are lots of ladies, this goes quietly. There are lots of women who abuse their husbands. There's lots of women who torture their husbands, but that doesn't come in the open. They portrayed the man as being a really horrible person where women have been worse. Yes, divorce was looked as a sin. That was the last thing we would ever think of. But mental behavior, I would call it a mental behavior. I would say no normal person would, whether it's a wife or the husband, no normal person would go into physical arguments or where she becomes a physical or she becomes a physical. That means there is something not right for the husband or anybody. They haven't got the brain. I would say they're mentally not fit. They need to be treated. They need to be seen by a medical person. That's one of the things. Yes, if, in our days, whenever this such a sort of abuse took place or, it was happening a lot, no doubt it was happening a lot because obviously it became a culture. And families, were trying their best to solve the issues as much as they could. And some of the children were getting married at a very early age. They did not know how to treat their wives or their husbands. Any little things like a brother and sister would have an argument. Like you two, you and your brother would get physical many times.
Oh, no, we don't.
Yes, you did.
When we did, I always won. But anyway, carry on.
It doesn't matter who won, but this is my opinion. Yes, there are some people who are addicted doing that. Yes, divorce, it happened. But I would say, again, I've come from that time of, try to resolve things, try to talk to each other, get counseling, get help. There is something not right in one's head. Why is she or he getting physical?
We have a GoFundMe page to raise funds to help British Muslims find a spouse. And our platform consists of two main projects. Number one, marriage events. These are events designed and structured to assist Muslims find a spouse. And number two, our podcast, which you're listening to right now, as you know, it's called Divorced Muslims, A Second Chance. If you want to donate, please find the link to the GoFundMe page below. Can I just focus on children having a choice? In your era, you said you didn't have a choice. In this era, it's choices galore. Left, right, and center, the children have a choice. So making a comparison, do you think it's better to have a choice, as in to the point that the amount of choice that exists today, or do you think it's better like it was in your era, no choice? I say you're getting married and that's it.
No, I wouldn't say to you that not to have a choice or choosing your partner. If you got a choice, if you're getting involving your family, obviously they're going to find few people, potentials, and then put them in front of you and you choose from those potentials. That means the parents have done the background search. Those are the right potential and you choose from them. But if you're choosing yourself, then think carefully. What are you looking for? Glamour? Are you looking for physical appearance? Are you looking for money, status? Or what are you looking for? These are not the things which are going to be successful. Like I said, the key to a marriage is you look at a person, you find a good person for yourself. Not necessarily that person has to look good. Looks count, but sometimes looks don't count. You look at a good person and you tend to like them afterwards once you're married. We don't believe in love before marriage. As a Muslim, I don't believe in love before marriage. Love comes after marriage.
You sound like me.
You can make choices, no problem. But what sort of choices are you making? You have to sit and think. Islamically, you got religion in your mind. This is Islamic marriage you're talking about. Then what is your choice? You're looking for a good person who knows the value of your religion. If somebody is a practicing Muslim, they will have a fear of Allah. They are not going to do anything against what's written in Quran. What's the best marriage? We follow everything. Quran is there for us to follow every step of it. So choices, it all depends. What are you looking? What's your choice?
Okay. What about this, Mum? Why do you think the British Muslim community is finding it difficult, generally speaking, to find a spouse? What's the problem here?
Okay, and this is a difficult one. This is my opinion. I don't know the listeners will agree with me or not, but this is my opinion. I'm going to be very honest. Today, you guys have a criteria. You have this list of boxes. That's what you're doing. You're doing a tick box. You say, for example, you're looking for a girl. You want a girl, tall girl. You want a girl who's got an education, a degree. You want a girl who's got career, somebody who's got the money, somebody who's good looking. He has to be fair in color. These are the tick boxes. You're not marrying the person. You're actually marrying this criteria you have in your mind. That's the reason everybody's falling out. Nothing's working out. You might have a good person in front of you, but it may fall short for 2 boxes. And you will say, oh no, you know what? It didn't tick all of my 10 boxes. So therefore 8 is not good enough. I want to go for the 10 boxes. I want to make sure she has all those 10 points I'm looking for. So this criteria is too high. Please bring it down. Look for a good person, and that's all. You need a good person who can keep you happy, and you will be happy. You will keep that person happy.
Next question, Mum. These days, many women want financial stability in a man. And by the way, there's a lot of emphasis on financial stability, and I'm not criticizing them at all. It's their choice, and why not? Wanting financial stability, why not? But on the other end of the spectrum, from a brother's point of view, the cost of living here in the UK is very high. The average salary is between 28 to 30k. And the facts are that most people live paycheck to paycheck. So there's a clash here. Financial stability being wanted in a man from a woman's perspective, and then from a man's perspective, the surroundings and the atmosphere financially, it's a problem. What's your view on this, Ma?
Okay. Before I answer that question, yes, I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, no.
Do you believe in barakah?
In barakah?
Yeah, barakah.
Yeah, of course.
If you believe in that, if all the listeners believe in that, these financial stuff, money, doesn't mean anything. Money comes and goes. A girl might be very rich, comes from a very rich business family. This business or this money comes and goes. You never know. You're looking for a boy who, to your standard, being financially established in the way you are, and he may not be, and you are. First of all, you shouldn't have that criteria. You've got the money and you want him to to come from the same background with the money, that's going to be a failure. That's the first thing. You're not actually looking for a right potential, because you know what? Today, you marry this boy who may not have anything, and tomorrow you might have something, some calamity happens. Your business finishes overnight. What happens then? That's one thing. Yeah, no, if the girl has got money, put that money on side. Don't bring that. Don't say you want to compete. My standard is this. I earn £100,000. That's my salary. And I want the boy to have at least 120. No, please don't do that. If you got the money, he's earning 30K, marry him. He's a good person. Help him, support him when you're married. Set up a business. Be happy, and barakat will come. That business will be successful. This is what my belief is. And this is what I'm going to say to all the listeners. Please leave money aside. If you're looking for money and you're looking for this sort of worldly material, you're not going to find the right person. You will find someone, the marriage won't last. You want a marriage which is forever. You want a husband or wife with no condition. These conditions shouldn't be there.
You know what's funny? I think most women in this era wouldn't agree with you. But okay, let's move away from that for a second.
That's my opinion.
And you are entitled to your opinion, Mum.
Azure Pak didn't ask for her hand. The lady, one of the richest women in the entire town or the city, got married. She was not just rich. She was businesswoman. She was married. She was, very, very much older than Huzur Pak. What happened? He wasn't a prophet at the time. So this lady knew he's got everything what she wants, but he doesn't have the money. You know what? She gave all her assets away. She gave all her wealth away to marry him because he was going to keep her happy. That's what I'm going to say to all those girls who are looking for potential. Please, you call yourself so-called Muslims. Please follow this example.
Okay, the next question is, there appears to be many women who want high mahr amounts in this day and age. What's your take on that? And also, if you are comfortable, what mahr did you have to pay? So a couple of questions there.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to say conditional marriages never work. If you put a condition, I want X amount of mahr on my, nikah. These are conditions. Conditional marriages don't work. If you look at it, we are Muslims. We follow Sunnat. We follow Azure Pak, our Nabi. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had 4 daughters. What criterias? What did he do? What conditions did he put? What did he ask? Look at those. In my marriage, when I got married, my brothers and sisters got married. The ones who got married in Pakistan, their hak mehr was 32 rupees. And when I got married, my dad said he wanted 32 pounds. Fair enough. Then my sister-in-law, because my husband comes from Pakistan as a fiancé, my sister-in-law, his sister, openly said it to my brothers. You know what? My mehr was 50,000 rupees or something, I can't remember. And then that's when my brothers turned around and said to Dad, you're getting your daughter married to a family where they actually ask for mehr. So let us ask. And my dad said, no. We stick to 32 pounds. But my brothers forced it to 500 pounds. And my dad felt very, very bad. And when my mom found out, she was very, very angry as well. So
did you get that 500 pounds or your brothers get it?
No, it was supposed to be for me. I never got it. My husband come from Pakistan, and I have maaf kar diya.
So who took the 500?
That was only written on the paper. He was supposed to give me, but he didn't have the money. He said he will give me when he earns. And then looking at my parents, my father only wanted 32 pounds. When we did get married, when everything happened, I said to my husband, I don't want that 500 pounds. I waived it. I never got the 32 pounds either.
Don't worry, Mum, I'll give it to you. Don't worry.
No.
I'm only joking.
You know what? I've got the best husband in the world. I'm happy. And I'm so proud of my parents choosing the right person for me. He came with nothing. Today, he's got nothing, but he's the best husband.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Mum, let's talk about polygamy. What are your views on polygamy? And that basically means, more than one wife for a guy.
Okay. Religion is taken for granted. I'm going to give you an example. The boys who smoke all the time, come Ramadan, they're not even keeping one fast because they're smoking. Comes Eid, they're the first one on the first row to read Eid namaz. This is what I'm going to say to you. this is, taking the mick, whoever these boys are, yourself or anyone,
Don't bring me to this.
or saying they want a more than one marriage. Why? First of all, look at it. Look at can you provide everything equally to this other person who you got to marry? And first of all, why do you want to get married? You got a wife already, you got into a happy marriage. This Islam, you're taking the advantage of it. There is no reason why this man wants to get, or boy wants to have a second wife just to show off that he's got two wives, or put the first one down. You know what? Whatever you do, I want to get married. Has he got that much? If he's going to give £5 to the first one, he has to make sure he gives the £5 to the second one. If he spends 1 week with the second one, he has to make sure he spends the same 1 week with her. As much as he made her happy, he has to make this one happy, the first one. So if you can fulfill all those criteria, every little thing for you do with the second wife, you have to make sure you do. Then consider, I'm sorry for me to say to all of you, that is rubbish.
What is rubbish?
Keeping two wives.
Mum, that's part of the religion. You can't say that.
That is part of the religion. But like I said, the religion is taken for granted. You are actually taking the mick out of the religion.
Yeah, but hold on. Mum, it is accepted though, right? Polygamy is part of the deen. Accepted.
It is accepted. I'm not a scholar.
Just to add to that, this is a common argument that people put forward. Scholars have said, Sheikh Saleh Al-Fawzan has said, the husband doesn't need to have a reason. It could be just to make him happy.
But today's day and age, if somebody says, I'm going to get married, he's happy in his first marriage, wants to get married again, I think it's really making fun of your religion.
Okay. If your sons wanted to get married twice, have two wives, how would you feel about that?
If my son says, I want to get married, he's happy with his wife, I'm sorry, I don't care. And I don't want this to be taken out. And I'm going to take my slipper off and hit my son on his face.
But Mum, I don't need your permission Islamically.
I don't care. I'm your mother.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Mum, would you have considered someone who is divorced?
I would.
Okay. In your opinion, who's more to blame in terms of people not being able to find a spouse in today's day and age, men or women?
I think it's the girls, to be honest, because the girls have set such a high criteria, they're finding it difficult. I think the boys would easily find someone. I think it's the girls who are struggling.
But why do you say that is?
It's the criteria, their standard criteria is too high. Come down, find a good person, marry that good person, don't marry the criteria, and, the problem will be resolved.
Okay. And Mum, what do you think are the solutions to the problems of the difficulties in finding a spouse? What advice would you give? What's the solutions?
Again, I'm going to say, be patient. Try to find someone who is a good person. Don't go for whatever the criteria or the tick box you have. Look for a good person. Take people's advice, get families involved, find that good person, and cross out all the factors you have, all the tick boxes you have, all the conditions you have. Take them out. That good person might be the best person for you. He may not have the good looks. He may not be, the perfect person in your tick box, but he might be the best person for you, good person.
Okay, Mum, that's the end of the questions. Before we do the rapid fire, and anything else that you want to say, maybe you want to ask, or should we go straight to the rapid fire?
I don't know if I missed out anything. I'm going to say again, please stick to my advice, that APS.
Okay, well, people might want to know, what is Mohammad like as a son? Do you want to answer that question at this point, Mum?
A difficult one.
Oh, come on, Mum.
No, Alhamdulillah, I'm very proud. Your dad has brought you in a religious way. I wasn't that religious. I probably am not still that religious. But your dad brought you up the way he did. He taught you namaz. He did everything. And people who are practicing Muslim, they won't make mistakes. They won't do wrong. And they will have a fear of Allah. And I'm proud of my children and the upbringing. It was, the family values we have taught our children, and the respect for our elders and love for our youngers. And that's something which it will help you when you have kids, when you actually bring them up. With that in mind, your children, they won't go wrong.
That's the most amount of compliments you've ever given me. But to be honest with you, Mum, I have made mistakes. It's not that I haven't. Just saying, let the viewers know, I definitely made mistakes in my life.
No one is a frishta. I have to tell everyone, no one is a frishta. I'm talking today because of my years' experience. I might have been a different person 20 years ago, but no one is perfect. No one is a frishta. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes every day. The best person is when they realize they made a mistake, they own up that mistake, they learn from that mistake and not try to repeat that mistake.
Do you really think I'm a difficult child, Mum?
Comparing with your brother, yes, you are. You are a difficult child.
Why do you say that?
Not in difficult, but obviously in everything. You had a high standard. You always wanted to reach the top. Any day you comes exams, you're crying day and night. After the exam, you're crying day and night. Comes the result, you got the top results. Then your brother will start arguing, saying, Mum, he's a drama. He's drama queen. He's always doing this. He knows he's done the best. He knows he's got the good results, got to get the good results, but she's still making an issue. Come, I'll give you an example of 11 plus. You know, when you had your 11 plus, when you came, I was preparing you. Every day you're crying, I haven't got the question right. I haven't done it. You go for an exam. We take you, come back. How was your exam? Your dad asks. I try to avoid this question. You start crying. I didn't do good. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I didn't do good. I don't think so. You looked at the results. You start crying. I failed. I was saying to myself, how could he fail? He has been top in everything. How could he fail? Let me look at the letter. When I looked at it, you probably had it in your mind you failed. I looked at it and I said to your dad, pointing at your results. And I said, yes, he has failed. And your dad sees that. And he said, he winked at me and he said, to you, you have failed, son. Do you want to read this? What does this word mean? And you said, you're crying, I failed. Then he said to you, can you just read? My English is not that great. I come from Pakistan. What does this mean? Then you start laughing. When you read that, you start laughing. Oh, I passed. So that's how difficult you used to be.
I was 11 at the time. But anyway, Mum, let's move on to the rapid fire round, Mum. Okay, are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Well, I'll try my best to go on then.
Okay, single life or married life?
Married.
When you argue with dad, who's mainly right, you or dad?
I will always say my husband's right.
How do you resolve a conflict with dad?
I just stay quiet for a few days. He comes running. And then, 2 days I don't speak to him. He realizes whether his mistake or my mistake. I always say, my mom always taught me, whether it's your mistake or not mistake. I'm sorry, this is not rapid answer. But whether it's his mistake or your mistake, always say he's right. And then he will realize, it fizzles out.
Ladies, take notes, take notes. Mum, who's your favorite son?
Both my boys.
What is the secret to a successful marriage?
Patience.
One thing marriage has taught you?
Patience.
What would you do if dad said he wanted a second wife?
I would say, go and get married. If she can keep you happy. Today I will say that. Maybe 20 years ago, if he said, I probably would have said, what the hell are you talking about? If he says it today, I would say, yeah, go and get married. I'll be relieved. I won't be cooking. I won't be cleaning. I won't be ironing his clothes. If he wants to, go.
Make sure you give me that treatment if I ever did that with...
Yeah, 20 years after the marriage.
Anyway, biggest achievement to date, Mum?
Is children. Children is your biggest achievement, especially...
Oh, thanks, Mum.
Especially when you give them a good education, you give them everything, and they still are respectful. They respect the values of the family values, still comes in their mind as a first thing. That's the successful. That's, for me, money, wealth doesn't mean anything. For me, my children is everything. They're my saving, they're my wealth, they're my everything.
Okay, last question. What's your biggest dream?
My biggest dream, to see my children happy and see their children happy.
Well, thank you very much, Mum, for joining our podcast. Really appreciate your views. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you indeed. And I hope, please, to all the listeners, I hope you don't take my responses in a wrong way. I'm not targeting anyone. I'm just saying successful marriage. This is, from my point of view, this is the successful marriage I had. And from those points, I want everyone to have successful marriage in future. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
If you want to be a guest on this podcast, then please email us at divorcedmuslims@gmail.com. We have a GoFundMe page to raise funds to help British Muslims find a spouse. And our platform consists of two main projects. Number one, marriage events. These are events designed and structured to assist Muslims find a spouse. And number two, our podcast, which you're listening to right now. As you know, it's called Divorced Muslims, A Second Chance. If you want to donate, please find the link to the GoFundMe page below.